There'll be a lot of eyes on general manager John Elway, who has still, among other things, not gotten the quarterback position right. The QB situation for the Broncos, pretty much since Peyton Manning rode off to the sunset, has been difficult to say the least. Elway's made a variety of acquisitions in a variety of different ways, including a first-round draft pick that you see there in Paxton Lynch, and it just hasn't worked out. And, you know, Lewis, as a person who has made your living putting together teams and all that and evaluating talent, someone like me might look at it and say, John Elway is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. How can he not get the quarterback position right?
There's a lot of factors that go into it as far as quarterback play and how ultimately it winds up panning itself out. And sometimes, you know what, I don't know. I find it interesting that sometimes in the NFL, when you have guys who are great players at certain positions, they don't necessarily always, that doesn't necessarily always equate to the fact that they can evaluate that position the same way. Now, that being said, look, there's a lot of things that go into this as far as quarterback success and failure in the NFL. And for some reason, he hasn't been able to identify the kind of traits that he wants and or put the kind of team around these specific players in order for them to ultimately give him the kind of performance that he wants. I think the best one that he's brought in here so far, we have not seen yet, that being Drew Lock. And I'm sure they are waiting and they are basically sitting on their hands and just sitting here, you know, chomping at the bit to get him on the field right now to see what they have in the future. But there's so many other things that are going to go into this, namely that offensive line. Lewis. It is a problem for this football team.
Elway's had issues much bigger than just the quarterback.
Sure.
You look at everyone that he's drafted from 2011, he only has 2 that made the Pro Bowl. Julius Thomas and Von Miller. He had another one make the Pro Bowl, but not on his watch. So when you talk about drafting players, this is not Ozzie Newsome that we're talking about right now. John Elway has not done a good job overall, period. He just has not done a good job.
And it isn't just really just the player personnel part of it, Greeny. There's also the coach selection part of it, the developmental part of it. He's overseeing the entire football operation. So not just trying to select quarterbacks and or other players. How about the people that he's bringing in here to develop these guys and make sure that they continue to progress?
And that tells me Elway doesn't really know what he wants.
Well, right now,
he wants a good quarterback, but he doesn't know how to marry that with someone to develop the quarterback.
It becomes a very complicated situation because John Elway is, and deservedly so, by far the most beloved athletic figure in the history of that city. No one deserves it more than he does, so it becomes very difficult, I'm sure, even for the most ardent fans of the team, to criticize him strongly. One of the questions that will come now is, should they trade Von Miller? It came up yesterday with Dan Graziano here on our show. The trade deadline is around the corner. This team isn't going anywhere this year. Should they trade Von Miller?
If they feel as though they are years away and that this rebuild is going to be much more significant than maybe they want to actually admit, then maybe you should look into that. If someone makes you that kind of offer and feels as though they are a good quality pass rusher that just turned 30 years old and will be 31 in, I believe, February of 2020, if someone's going to make you that kind of offer, then you have to listen to it. And I think it may head down that road. It really may. And Von Miller is one of those people you really can't envision him playing for any other football team, considering what he's done for this franchise.
Yeah.
But this program has some holes, some major holes, and they need assets in order to build it back up.
Right. I mean, Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. He's an MVP. He got paid a bunch of money.
Right.
He was on his first read. I mean, you guys saw it in those highlights. Literally gets back to the top of his drop, makes one hitch in his drop, boom, he's getting hit. So it's not just, okay, what do we do now? Fire sale everybody. I don't know if that's the answer. And I don't know. I'm sure you're going to get whatever you want for Von Miller, but I don't know. Like you said, unless they're 3-4 years away from doing anything.
Right. And you don't let him walk out of the building. That's the kind of thing they're going to have to assess.
Everyone, thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, more analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+. We'll see you there.